Hello, everyone. This is Greg, your host of Goddamn Gamecube. Welcome to Season 3. If you enjoy listening to our show, consider subscribing to us on YouTube for exclusive video content. Thank you and enjoy today's episode. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Goddamn Gamecube. Greg and Beppe are your hosts today, and we have not done a gaming industry episode in a while. So today we are going to be talking about DLC, early access, betas, and anything that has to do with games being released in pieces and what we think about that and sort of how that has changed over the course of gaming history. So Beppe, why don't you take it away and let's get after it.
Thank you, Greg, for the introduction. I will be your host tonight. I will be the metaphorical Virgil guiding you through the 9 circles of hell.
Okay.
I have a lot to say, as I'm sure we all do. I did pretty much sort of the structure of this episode came together doing my research in how I think they started out with this kind of stuff innocuously enough, and it just kind of spiraled out of control over the last 15 years or so.
Okay.
So I want to first prompt you guys with talking about, do you remember, this sort of thing kind of started out with like planned expansions. I want to say kind of like low resource sequels like Majora's Mask, kind of that kind of thing where it's, you know, they're using the same engine and it's kind of become more commonplace now with like the Far Cry, like very kind of low effort sequels in between games and stuff like that. But do you guys have any early memories of like expansion packs like that you bought in like boxes?
I have a very good
Nick,
memory.
go ahead.
Actually.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, the Diablo 2 expansion, Lord of Destruction.
I was going to say the same.
I think that's got to be like heralded as one of the best expansions to a game ever. Honestly,
right?
Like that came in that. I mean, it was pretty awesome. It came in this big like battle chest thing. You see it on the shelf at Walmart.
I remember the battle chest.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah.
And it was just so much. Well, it was just so much better than the original Diablo 2. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it came with the original too and added a whole bunch of stuff, an additional chapter at the end of the game, an all new final boss, 2 new classes. It's like, it became the definitive edition of the game.
Well, there's a lot to discuss here, but I was making a joke, Nick, to you off mic, where isn't that just the new word for expansion packs?
Pretty much,
like back in the day when you had to buy the disc.
Yeah.
That's why Diablo 2, they were called expansions.
Right.
Because you had to buy the physical box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I like the early stuff that I remember is, you know, like World of Warcraft, like Burning Crusade was one of the
Similar vein.
You know, like it wasn't, you know, high-speed internet wasn't as commonplace as it was, so you're kind of counting on physical media to tide you over, I guess. And the same I would like to mention, because this is going to pay off later, is the same can be said for making sure that a game functioned at launch.
Yes.
Because you could not... I may have touched on this in a different episode, but I think it's worth repeating in the context of this one. You could really, like, you had to get it right the first time, because you can't, like, now you can just patch it, you know, like you can just add, you know, whatever. Oh, don't worry, we'll fix it, you know.
You ever heard the term, nah, don't worry about it, we'll fix it in the cellophane? You ever heard?
Yeah, or we'll fix it in post.
Yeah, right. So I feel like that joke is very relevant to early video games, because once that N64 cartridge comes out the door, it's done. And what I think is interesting, I don't know if you guys know this, in Ocarina of Time, in the first edition of the game, there is actually a slightly different soundtrack than when they reproduced the cartridge.
Was this the Fire Temple thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a chant in the Fire Temple that was in the original cartridge, and there was some backlash for some reason. I don't know all the details. And when they had to eventually make more copies of the game, it was taken out. Yeah. So that's the earliest example I can think of a game actually getting patched. You can't.
Right.
You can only do it when you actually reproduce the physical cartridge down the road.
I think it was it was like an Islamic chant of some kind.
Yeah.
And it was kind of dicey whether people would be offended by its usage or
I didn't
whatever.
even know. I don't know.
It sounds pretty cool. At any rate. That's pretty much, I think, and those you know, expansions were always pretty substantial. I mean, and they reviewed poorly if they weren't.
Yes.
So you know, started out, perfectly. Like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. And I to this day, if it had persisted like that, I probably wouldn't have had such a problem with it. The online sort of console gaming experience kind of it allowed sort of a fertile ground for this to perpetuate and expand in different ways. Xbox Live primarily being the main kind of, you remember, like early 360.
Of course.
The infamous one that we just absolutely have to talk about is the horse armor.
Yeah, and that's the beginning of the end, right?
Do you remember when this came out?
2006?
Yeah. But do you remember how you felt when it came out?
No,
we never got it.
So I never got it because I didn't play Oblivion at launch. I played it about a year later.
Okay.
And you know what? Oblivion's a great example. What was the expansion that we played?
The Shivering Isles.
Yeah. So I remember in the old days of Xbox Live 360, you had like the blades. And when not Blades joke, Oblivion Blade. You had, I would go into Oblivion expansions or Oblivion downloadable content.
Yeah.
Shivering Isles was there, but then horse armor was next to it. And as a kid, I'd be like, why does this cost anything? Like it should be free.
Right.
But I was 14.
I mean, I think I got it as part of a like the whole thing, like whatever Game of the Year edition or whatever.
Yeah.
And it didn't really seem to do very much because you had like the two horses that were invincible anyway, and why would you want to use anything other than them? And I remember everything else that came out for Oblivion was really cool. I don't know about fairly priced. I think that may be a good kind of topic to swerve off into is when you were younger. I mean, we have a different concept of money now and like what we would pay for things and everything. But I remember like what I spent my money on back then was like Halo maps, for instance.
Oh, sure.
And like you would get 3 new maps for like $10. In retrospect, I think it was pretty fair.
Compared to what they're doing now.
Oh, yeah. And do you guys have any recollection of like, kind of the paid DLC experience back then?
Yeah. I mean, I think our experience was similar. Because in this episode, we're keeping this very strict to betas, DLCs, early access.
Yep.
So I'm not going to talk about MMOs and memberships. That's very different.
Right.
I think for me, I think it was Gears of War maps is what I spent some money on. Because I think we're on the Halo 2 train very early.
Yeah.
Like I missed it. So that wasn't a part of my buying experience.
That actually, the first one of those was physical. And then like once they got to the later ones and Halo 3, it was all online.
Do you remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. I believe back in the day of Xbox 360, you could download DLC onto your own disc and put it into your Xbox to install it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You could do that. It seems like
cool.
that seems like centuries ago.
Yep. I mean, it's all antiquated now, but pretty cool at the time.
For sure.
I did want to mention around the same time, what I think it was also relatively fairly priced was like Guitar Hero and Rock Band stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like downloading songs, it was like $1.
Interesting.
And it kind of gave those games like early longevity, whereas you would get tired of the same songs for however long, but they kept it going, and they had that network that you could download stuff from, which was great.
Do you know what's funny? This isn't a Guitar Hero episode, but I remember like it's so strange like being 29 and like being a professional musician. When I was like 14 and I didn't know how anything worked, I was like, wouldn't it be sick if I could just insert whatever CD I wanted and play along to that album?
Yeah.
But like, it's so much more complicated than that.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I would have loved, like, I probably would have paid for something like that back then, but I wasn't a Guitar Hero head. I guess shout out to our local boys. I guess Harmonix is local to us.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. Very innovative.
Yeah.
I guess the pin to put on the early era for me is that I am not inherently against the idea of supporting a game,
post-release,
within a reasonable kind of price structure, ideally like free, but I mean, I'll pay like a fair price. I kind of, in my mind, I was kind of likening it to, it's not on like supporting an album. Like if you're touring it, just whatever gets us further away from a yearly release is basically like let's savor this as it comes out, like this, this game or whatever.
I think that's like a hard debate for me.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to sort of dissect here. but I tend to, you'll hear it over the course of this episode, I tend to not like playing my games in pieces.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like playing betas and then playing the game and then playing a DLC pack after.
Yeah.
I just don't like playing games that way.
Yeah.
I like having it as one experience, then I'm done. But I was going to bring up what you just said, where maybe I need to change my mindset about I am supporting the people who made a game I like by buying their content that comes out post-release. But to me, that feels a little bit like charity. You know what I mean? Because I'm not interested in playing it, but I'll give you my money. So I still feel weird.
To me, now that I am, 30 years old and I have no time, I basically, it motivates me to wait more than anything because they inevitably release like a Game of the Year edition that has everything.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. I would like to, I was kind of debating it in my mind that and like sort of the concept of the season pass showed up at the same time and how they were always hawking that.
Oh my God.
And by they, I mean you.
Yeah. So that, God, you know what? I almost forgot about season passes until you brought it up. Yeah. Where that was a really rough part of gaming. Remember that, dude? What was that? 09, 10, 11, 12. It was right in there.
It hung in there. I think it still exists.
But I mean, they were way worse back then. You remember this very specifically?
Yeah.
If you bought the game new, you got certain download codes in the box.
Yeah.
But if you bought it used, you needed to buy a season pass or an online code to either play online or play all the same maps as everyone else.
Or get whatever the secret thing was.
And it got into like a big debate about, well, if I buy a game used from GameStop, like I'm not going to do that anymore because I can't even play the same game as everyone else. So it got really dicey. Battlefield. Yeah.
A lot of puns this week.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it too, how it often feels just kind of like buying insurance for your experience. Like, well, you'll save money if you do it now instead of later when you...
You know what is interesting about DICE though, other than that they're kind of dog shit now?
Yeah.
But like back in like 2008, 2010, they were one of my favorite developers. Like Battlefield Bad Company 2 was one of my favorite games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they did that was interesting? They did something called a VIP code. What that meant is if you bought the game new, all DLC was free to you. But if you bought the game used, DLC came at an expense.
Right.
So it was kind of an interesting way to handle a season pass where you could play the standard game with everyone else and you're not going to miss anything.
Mm-hmm.
But these DLC things that we're going to release in the future, thank you for buying it new, and we will give those to you for free.
I think that's fair.
That's nice.
Which
I like
back
that.
then, I feel like that was an okay compromise compared to what a lot of other people did.
I pretty much it's at that point where you're kind of hitting like 2010, early. I've started to feel like you can feel like the industry transition where there's just too much money involved.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like it becomes the other way around of how it should be, where the cart is before the horse, where they're cutting stuff out to sell it later instead of adding on to a complete experience. And
this subject hurts.
It does a lot. I think, well, we've talked about it before a couple times on this podcast now. Mass Effect 3 was a big instance of this.
Sure.
Where they had an on-disc character who's pretty integral to the story, and you can't, like, people like hacked him out of the game's files. You had to like pay $15 to get him out or whatever.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up too. I kind of forgot about that, and because it's so rampant now, like in the industry, I forgot. Like 10 years ago, there's locked content on the disc. Oh, so you're just chopping content out of the game just to get more money out of people. And this debate, I don't want it to get too far-reaching, because at some point we're gonna have to talk about the cost of games.
Oh yeah,
and like it's games are expensive to buy. I can't afford them, but they're also very expensive to make.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, I was. That's a great point, because I was about to transition into how the online marketplace. It can be argued that it provides kind of a direct way for indie developers to get their stuff out there, but considering what we pay for it, I doubt they're being compensated fairly for that. It's
totally.
like, it feels like, I mean, so much stuff is just on Gamepass now for free, and it's like, how much of that are they really seeing?
I have no idea. And in terms of like, there's been this debate too. I don't know if you guys have seen anything about this. Because games are going digital now, why are they getting more expensive to buy? Shouldn't it be less because there's now no more packaging? I have no idea what to think about that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing packaging costs people pennies.
Right.
I have no idea.
It's maybe just like freight more than anything else.
For
like
sure.
The cost of transit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the amount of people who have to work on a game now, they have to increase in salary.
I mean,
stuff
gaming
like that
prices
as well.
have gone through the roof,
They have.
dude. I mean, what did Grand Theft Auto 5 cost to make, or Red Dead? Weren't they hundreds of millions of dollars?
Probably, yeah.
And I mean, like, I think you're starting to see it. You're starting to see it a lot in movies too recently with like how the CGI, it does often not hold up because they're churning these movies out like they just farming it to like thousands of artists.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it. I think you're starting to see it in games too, where it's like, you know, Halo Infinite looks a lot better than it did, but it still, to me, doesn't look as good as it should. You know, because I've played Metro Exodus. It looks amazing. And like, I don't know how, you know, AAA titles don't look up to a certain standard.
I mean,
It's
Jesus
probably
Christ,
because
do you want me to put the dagger in your heart? How did you feel when they said Halo will be a games as service?
Oh, well.
It probably fucking broke your heart, right?
Are you reading my script here?
Is that what you were going to talk about next?
That's my next point.
Please
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say that they have little appeal to me personally.
Oh, none for me.
I don't, because I you know, I'm mainly a single player kind of experience.
Yeah, me too.
I will play multiplayer games, you know, just on occasion, but I don't. I can't get into like a lifestyle game. Like I need to I want a narrative experience and then move on, try something new.
Nick, I'm going to look at you for a second. Do you remember, am I misremembering this? Remember when they announced I think it was BioWare, didn't they announce like either Dragon Age or something was going to be a games as service
Dragon
game?
Age 4 was going to be games as a service.
And then they backpedaled because
did.
everybody was like fucking rip shit.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
I feel, do you guys think it's getting to the point where games like Anthem failed? Also, that's probably one of the worst titles for a video game I've ever heard in my life. Do you think games as a service has become such like a vile term that now we're going to see it go the other direction, or no?
I would say, yeah. I'm not as tuned into like gaming and industry news as you two are, but I haven't heard much about games as a service lately. To be honest with you,
I think they're still gonna try it.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to steamroll this. Did you guys hear about the Ubisoft news?
No.
Where they're getting away from making single player experiences.
That's
and
true.
the next like Assassin's Creed is gonna, I mean, like, it's dog shit anyway, so who
Yeah.
cares? But the new Assassin's Creed is gonna be a games as service where the DLC packs are inevitably gonna be different time periods. I mean, they can't even do one right. Dude, that's bad.
I mean,
you
Ubisoft has
might
been
as
terrible.
well if
Yeah.
you're fucking churning them out once a year.
Yeah, they
So,
might as well.
I don't know. I don't like that. Before we get too far away from kind
please.
of like the monetary
Yeah.
aspect, I did want to in my research,
Yeah.
I was talking about indie developers earlier, and I neglected to mention that apparently certain developers wanted to put their games up for free and Microsoft wouldn't let them.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Is that because of Microsoft's infrastructure on Xbox Live?
Presumably,
Okay,
like paying for the hosting, I guess. But
From what I understand, I could be wrong. I'm not a game developer. Microsoft and Xbox Live has been a very good indie developer source recently.
Yeah.
I think that's taken a turn with the new head of Xbox. I think I could be wrong.
Is this the guy that like threatened you?
Oh God, no. That's we'll talk about that at some point. That's very off topic. That was Major Nelson at PAX. Someone get him on here. We need to talk about
good
it.
story for another time.
Another story for another time.
Yeah, I don't really mess around with that. I mean, I think my first I felt myself kind of get sucked into the rabbit hole with like Modern Warfare 2 with like the progression system, quote unquote. Like you see a lot more of that where you unlock little like baubles here and there of like,
so I think
the more time you spend.
The writing on the wall for me was it wasn't one specific instance. We did an episode where I worked at GameStop and I talked about all that shit. The writing on the wall for me for the games industry was when pre-order this, give us your money, and we'll give you a leg up in the game. I hate that.
That's
gotta be. Go ahead.
But I think that's even more rampant now that it ever.
Oh
has
sure,
been.
but I mean this is in 2012.
Yeah,
2013.
I think like the most recent, most egregious. Definitely mentioned this on the previous episode, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay.
I believe they gated off a certain part of the map or something like that unless you had enough experience, or you could pay a certain fee and like, oh, you can go now. Like you have enough.
Yeah, I mean, Donkey
experience,
actually has
whatever.
a great video on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It talks
Yeah.
about that stuff too. You can like level the normal way in that
Yeah.
game, or you can bypass the leveling and just buy them with real
Okay,
money.
I
It's
need to make a
awful.
statement.
And
I
they
think
make
I-
it take forever, so you do that.
Exactly.
I think I've been waiting to make this statement on this podcast for literally a year and a half.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it. This is a Greg personal gaming mantra.
Oh boy.
Isn't the point of playing a game to play the fucking game? Like, why are you buying your way to progression or buying your way to bypass the game? Didn't you buy the game to fucking play it?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
But it's all kind of engineered that way.
No, I
where-
know that. I'm saying that to both developers and consumers.
Oh yeah,
both.
but I mean, like you get like dad who works 2 jobs who is playing Assassin's Creed because it's it's a very kind of casual experience for the most part, and it's like, well, I don't really have that much free time, so I'm just gonna pay $20 to get to the end of the game, whatever. You
That
know what I mean?
hurts
Like,
me, dude.
it sucks, it's awful, but they know that people are gonna do that.
I know.
Yeah, they do.
Like, can't you just buy your way into World of Warcraft now to become max level? Can't you just
can?
buy max level
You used to have
characters?
to like pay people online to level up your character while you were at work.
Gold farming? Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah.
Dude, I got scammed on eBay. This
Yeah.
guy he said he was gonna sell me a level 80 character.
Dude, holy shit.
I we're getting down there. We're getting pretty deep here.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, boy.
No, we talked about pay gates, that kind of thing. I was gonna talk a little bit more about, are you subscribed to Game Pass?
No, Nick gave it to me for free for
Okay.
my birthday. So I was for a little bit. Well, here's the problem. I've played too many games. So like all the free game, there's nothing for me to play.
Yeah.
So like I'm not saying I dislike Game Pass or like it.
Yeah.
I don't have a use for it because I've played everything. What about you?
So I have it, and I do think it's a great deal, but it feels it's like there's a lot of stuff on there that I really want to play that looks like a lot of work. It kind of goes back to what I was saying before. It looks like a lot of work went into it, and it kind of just starts feeling like a landfill. Like let's just like get as much content as
Yeah,
possible.
Netflix.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Just like get it all together, boost the value of the subscription. And I don't know, I just hate that it's come to this.
Yeah,
That
I know.
it's just cheaper that way. I don't know. I don't really.
I mean, I'm kind of a fan of Game Pass. I had it for a month or two. There's some like I don't buy as many games as I used to, so it's kind of cool to get on there and see, oh, that's how I played multiplayer Halo with you all. It was on Game Pass.
Well, I don't dislike Game Pass
Yeah.
as a service. I think it can help a lot of people, especially if you can't afford to buy games.
Yeah.
My problem with it is just I've played too many. So like I there's nothing for me to play.
Yeah, it's
so
not
why
like
do I
a
have it?
value.
Yeah.
Right.
All those games are on my shelf. I already have them.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess as we sort of reach the bottom of the barrel here, I wanted to talk about the rise of microtransactions.
Oh, no.
Oh god.
Do you guys have any strong opinions or memories of that?
Strong opinions on microtransactions.
Let's-
I mean, we hate them.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't
But
right?
let's talk about it.
Let's talk. Nick, do you have any specifics?
Yeah, something that I hate about myself.
Oh, no.
Is I've never gotten into microtransactions, but I find
It's just for
myself
my friend.
I find myself like being more okay with microtransactions if they don't influence like getting your character stronger in the game.
So like
Like-
cosmetics stuff.
Yeah, cosmetic stuff. I hate myself for thinking, cosmetic, it's okay. But that's sort of like because we get such inundated with microtransactions and DLCs these days that there's so much bullshit, like the Assassin's Creed Odyssey stuff. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
But if you could pay $2 to like dye your toga pink, fine, whatever, I guess.
Sure.
But I don't know. I kind of hate that I'm now okay with it because I've been inundated with so much of this
I
stuff.
mean,
they got you used to it.
I mean,
you know?
it's a
They
rabbit
changed the
hole, though.
temperature.
It's a,
by okay with it, I mean I'm okay with it existing, not that I bought it.
but I mean,
FYI.
isn't that a rabbit hole? It's just kind
Yeah.
of like a symptom of what's happening where
Yeah.
it starts with chopping content out of a game. Then it becomes a pre-order bonus. But
Yeah.
now that we're in the digital era, oh, is the game too boring for you? You can buy your way out of it.
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I feel like it didn't just happen at once. We're now stuck in it.
Well, it's also like a race to the bottom in terms of Xbox Live, they can soak people for $60 a year, and then PlayStation wasn't charging for their service, and then now they have to
Right.
compete.
I forgot that PlayStation was free at one point.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
No, I
Virgil, what's next?
Virgil is he's about to disappear here. I was gonna say that pretty much the part where it starts to really like put a knot in my gut is when we get into loot boxes.
Oh, boy.
Which are just rampant. I think it's really awful because you hear a lot of like horror stories about kids who get their parents like credit card and they just run up
they
like
hit it for hundreds of bucks.
$2,000-$3,000, and it's like they whatever company you like, it depends, like they may refund them, they may not, and it's, but when you get kind of this addiction kind of going, like, well, you can not only are you nickel and diming the experience, it's like it's like getting a chance of getting whatever you want. And it's kind of, when you have kids who are mainly playing games, especially with how accessible they are on phones and stuff like that, you are kind of like incubating gambling addictions.
Kind of.
And there's been like legislation now in some countries about how, like, should this be allowed, and ideally not. And it's so fast because I feel like this is definitely, we talk a lot about, and I would like to talk more about the good that games have done, but this is like pretty evil. Like this is pretty, like, I would say among the worst things that the video game industry has done.
Well, I mean, you're almost like putting Pokemon card packs in the game, right? I'm going to go to the store and spend a bunch of money on Pokemon cards, hoping I get one that I want. But now you've already bought the game. To enjoy the game and compete in the game, you need to buy these loot boxes that may or may not give you something.
Right.
I mean, like, I just don't know what to say other than how did we get here?
I find them
what
to be
happened?
like more rampant in
I just
mobile
told
games.
you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's true.
They're very rampant in mobile games. I have some like I say firsthand that I played one of these games, which was Fire Emblem Heroes.
Okay.
Sure.
That is a game like I never spent a dime on it because once I got into it, I'm like, oh, it's one of these kind of games.
Yeah.
But you hear stories of like, oh, I spent $3,000 to get to the top of the leaderboard. I'm like, what? Holy
Dude,
shit.
and that makes me think, oh, wait, maybe a $60 game isn't that expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ, you spent how much money on Fire Emblem Heroes?
And they're starting to-
50 and now they're going to 70.
Yep. And they're starting to use on these mobile games, they're starting to use a phrase that I really hate. It's called free to start.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we are, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not free to play. Technically, it's free to play, but it's free to start. You can buy stuff as you go if you like.
Fuck that, dude.
Yeah, it's awful.
Unbelievable.
Yep, terrible.
You get to like 30% of the experience, and they get you hooked on it.
Yeah,
And then it's like,
exactly.
don't you want to keep going?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think it's really pretty fucking grim that did you hear about that NBA game where they're just like running ads like in between levels? And it's
That's
so
really funny.
I mean, I guess like fuck you if you still buy those games, but
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's like, that's awful. Like you can see like that. I mean, it's a slippery slope, but they had product placement for a while, like in like the sides or in jerseys or whatever, and then now they're just running ads.
Well, I mean, Fortnite is an ad. Remember,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I always made the joke when my friend and John and I played about a dozen rounds of Fortnite, and every time we would start the game, I would say, "And this round of Fortnite is brought to you by Bank of America." Like they should just do that because that's what they're doing.
Pretty much.
They literally put God of War in it, they put Star Wars in it, and it's all of these like aesthetic outfits you can buy. That game is just an ad.
Oh yeah.
But that's just, I feel like that Fortnite is its own thing. Where
Yeah.
it's almost like every symptom wrapped up in a box, but people fucking love it.
yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I hate how much fun I had playing it too. It sucks.
I guess if it's free, I mean,
It is
you
free.
know,
So
So,
I have no idea.
Nick, I'm gonna kick it to you because you had some ideas.
Yeah, so I actually, in my research, as Beppe aptly put it, I found what people consider to be some of the best DLCs and what people consider to be some of the worst DLCs.
Oh, boy.
I like it.
We'll start on a good note, shall we? We'll
Oh,
start
wait,
with,
actually, yeah, this podcast has been very negative.
we'll start with something. Let's get something positive in here,
Something
huh?
positive.
With
a little
so what
refresher, a little dessert.
yeah, what people think are some of the better DLCs. I'm only going to go through a few of them. So anyone listening, I apologize if I missed a DLC that you happen to like, but this is just a lot of hits I got for certain
Okay,
DLCs.
sure.
They came out
Cool.
multiple times. So one of the first ones I got, we mentioned it earlier, we'll quickly go back to it, is the Shivering Isles in Oblivion.
Okay.
So after digging, it's been a long time since it came out, but I dug a little bit about it and why it's considered to be so good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this. It actually has about 30 to 40 hours of content.
I didn't
Oh
know
yeah.
that.
And it's about a fourth of the size of the main game world.
Okay.
And they re-recorded 9,500 lines of dialogue.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
like that's, I don't remember how much it cost, probably
What's it,
20.
$20?
That's like almost getting another game.
Yeah.
And I think that's like really good value, and that's kind of what I want to see from a DLC. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially there was so many. I didn't actually play it myself, but I watched a lot of footage of it, and like all the different kind of weird stuff they added into it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like just crap.
Exactly.
It was an idea there.
Yeah. It was a lot of effort, and it was pretty cool. I think it was the only expansion Oblivion had,
I think
aside
you're
from
right.
horse armor.
I think you're
Obviously, yeah.
Knights of the Nine, but it wasn't that long.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
remember that one. Ah,
Yeah.
good call. Good call. So another one that I saw, people really, I didn't play this game a whole lot. Greg, you did. I don't think you played the DLC. People love The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Shivering Isles. It's a hefty expansion onto the game.
Mhm.
People really like that one.
Mhm.
I know we don't have much to say about that, but kudos. TD Projekt Red did a pretty good job on that DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know they're
I'm
kind
just
of a
laughing
meme.
at-
You gotta give them some credit, man.
Yeah.
Wherever you
They
can.
need a little credit right now.
Yeah, they're going through a rough time.
Yeah. Another one I saw, something that's very near and dear to us. People, including myself, love the Old Hunters from
Oh
Bloodborne.
yeah.
I maintain that as one of the better DLC/expansions that I've played.
I said it in our Discord that the DLC is often, I think, maybe always the best part of the Souls games.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking Souls, Dark Souls 1, Artorias of the Abyss, that's a great DLC.
Mhm.
Dark Souls 2, it's better than the actual game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. And Dark Souls 3. Well, the Painted World is so, but Ring
City is cool.
is
the other one
amazing.
was
Whatever.
I mean, I think the Old Hunters is the best DLC that FromSoft has put out.
It's
That's
great.
my personal opinion.
It's very good.
And the last one in here that I'll say before I go into really bad DLCs is people really love the DLC from The Last of Us.
Oh yeah, you talking the first one? Is that
Yes.
Left Behind?
Yes.
I didn't play it. I watched a whole walkthrough of it. It's mostly story,
Mhm.
but people liked it. I can see why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sure, I didn't play it, but I watched people play it.
All right.
But what's
well,
the bad?
Yeah. All right. We'll get into some really bad ones. Some of these are really fucking bad.
If this was my list, I would say it's all bad.
It's all well, yeah. This
ahead.
is like this might be like a new low point for you.
Oh, boy.
Marvel's The Avengers had a special Verizon wireless skin.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god. Are you serious?
Shout out to Josh on this one. That's for him.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like for Verizon and T-Mobile customers, you could get the Marvel character. You can get Captain America with Verizon colors.
Beppe, I was wrong. It can get worse.
I told you this is a new low, guys.
can get worse.
Savor it while you can. It will get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we've gone this long without mentioning probably what is I don't know what the opposite of pinnacle is, but the pinnacle of bad.
The Nader.
the
Yeah,
Trough.
yeah,
Nade
thank you.
DIR.
Yes, thank you. Which is Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh boy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the whole debacle they had with the pride and sense of accomplishments.
Yes.
That
What?
post that they had.
What?
10,000 points for Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
So
That's
someone
bullshit.
made a complaint post about it. I think it was on Reddit. And EA actually came in and responded. Like the complaint post was like, getting these characters is unfair. It rewards pay to win. And then EA came in and said, well, we have this in because we like to reward players, give us a pride and sense of accomplishment for doing it. It is currently the most downvoted comment on Reddit ever.
Oh yeah,
It still is.
absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not like against because I loved unlocking things in like games
Yeah.
of yore, but it was bullshit.
It was awful. You pretty much had
it
to
was
pay.
like they made it so you had to pay.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And that
Exactly.
was another rampant loot box situation too.
Mhm. So, this one, none of us have played this game, but this, it made me so mad when I heard it. Asura's Wrath.
Okay.
A game people like, actually. Apparently
Okay.
considered to be a very good game. The end of the game gave you a to be continued, so you think it's going to be a sequel.
Oh no.
They released a DLC episode that was the real final boss.
Ouch.
And I'm like, holy fuck. That is just a kick in the teeth to all of those
That's
fans.
just but that's kind of what we're talking about, where you guys definitely had an ending to this game and you locked it behind buying it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I hate
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
How can anyone? You know what? It drives me crazy. Maybe we're just too nice.
We might be.
Like, How can anyone think that's okay?
I'm just trying to stay professional. I have stronger thoughts than I
No,
have
but
words.
you know what I mean though? Like, how can you sit up in that conference room and say that's okay? That drives me crazy. How can
don't
you
know.
do that?
Because these are people who don't. They're not in games for the art. They're in it to make
For the
money.
money.
You know.
So this next one is another game we didn't play, but it was so skeevy it like made me feel bad. It's called The Saboteur.
Oh, I played it.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know if you buy the DLC, the strippers lose their tassels so you can see boobs?
Oh my god.
Epic.
You know what, dude? I wish you didn't tell me that. Because
Are you gonna
like,
go buy it?
No. Now I like the game less.
Right?
Uh,
Yeah, another game that people liked, but this is like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh
Really?
my god.
So the last one here is a game that I don't think any of us have thought about in a long time.
Oh no.
It's The Sims 4.
Okay.
Ooh.
The Sims as a series is known for all of these packs that you can buy.
Right.
Yes.
The dog pack, the summer pack, shit like that. So all the expansions cost $40 a piece, and there's 9 of them for The Sims 4. You can
Okay.
do the math there, it's like $360. Do you know what they fucking do with this?
Okay.
They sometimes make The Sims 4 free.
So you have to buy all the things.
So you get it, you're free. Oh, I got it for free. I'll buy the DLC packs. And then you end up paying $100 for
Oh, free to
fucking-
start.
Exactly.
That's
Dude,
insane.
fuck me.
Because like buying the game, if you bought the game for full price and all the DLC, it would cost you about $400.
Oh my
for the whole
God.
game. Yep, to get all the
Dude.
content in the game.
Nick, is that the last one of the bad list?
Yeah, we mentioned Oblivion Horse Armor, but yes, this is the last one.
Beppe, if you don't mind, I'd like to bring us into another subject that's very related. This is less about us hating on corporate gaming and more about my philosophy on DLC and like as a gamer, I'm taking money out of it, all of that stuff. I don't know about you guys. I just feel like maybe I'm the guy in the room that just doesn't like DLC as a gamer. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't love playing a game and seeing the credits and then having to go back to it later.
Yeah.
I don't like it because for me, when I play a video game, the first playthrough is the play. Like I want to, like, what are you going to show me? Do it now. I don't replay games a lot. It's pretty rare. And I just, even though, let's bring up an example, like Old Hunters.
Yes.
I didn't play that for like years after I beat Bloodborne. I'm not saying it's bad. Like I liked it.
Yeah.
But why am I playing this again? Like, I just wish it was attached to the main game because like I've already kind of forgotten about the game. I don't really remember what the story is. It's you know, it's not fresh.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever feel that where I feel like I'm at like a personal crossroads where I liked the Ring City or I liked the Artorias of the Abyss, but I beat Dark Souls in 2011. I'm done with it. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not. I play it a million times a year.
Did you play it like last month?
Yeah, I did. But it's, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, I really wish it was a part of my first playthrough. I just can't stomach playing a game after
Well,
I've already beaten it.
Yeah, but I think that is definitely, I think a lot of this stuff is stuff they were working on contiguously with the game, and they just said, let's cut it for now. We can flesh it out later, release it as a DLC, whatever. And I mean, part of that is budgetary, where it's like, we don't have the resources to work on this. It's kind of tangential to the main experience, whatever. If it's there, or if you want it, and if you don't,
Sure.
then you don't have to.
I mean, I didn't mean this as developers are skimping on content. I meant it as when I beat a game, I'm done with it.
I mean,
Yeah,
they might
yeah.
be skimping on content.
I mean,
That
but,
might also be true.
sure.
Yeah.
But Nick, I don't know. Here's the thing, Nick. I feel like you just play so much more DLC than me, and you and our friend group are so much more excited when extra content comes out for a game. But for me, I never buy it.
You know what it
I
is
just
for
don't.
me? You guys know me. I replay games a lot.
Yeah, sure.
I do a ton of replays, so sometimes extra content gives me like, oh, maybe I'll go run back through this game again. Greg, I wanted to mention one specific DLC set that was really good at the time, but aged really, really poorly.
Okay.
Which is the DLC for everybody get your shot glasses ready. It's coming. Fire Emblem Awakening.
Okay.
So that DLC, it was meant to be the last. Everyone knows the history of this game. It was meant to be the last one. All of the DLC was you spend $2, you get a map, and you get a character from a prior game.
Okay.
I thought at the time, oh, this is their swan song. They're releasing all their main characters again. You know, they're giving us they have special dialogues and whatnot. It's kind of heartwarming to get all this. Now it's been 10 years and Fire Emblem is one of Nintendo's biggest IPs now. And this game had $60 worth of useless DLC.
Yeah.
So at the time I was like, you know what? This is cute. I like this. But now I'm like, I wasted a lot of money on this game.
You had fun at the time, though.
I did. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So going on the opposite side of the spectrum before we close out here.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something else that's entirely, well, it's the same, but entirely different.
Yeah.
I also don't like playing betas and early access games.
Oh.
Like the reason why I titled this episode Games in Pieces is not only like DLC and add-ons and all the shit we've talked about. I also don't like playing games before they come out because I don't like retreading content I've already played. I don't want to play a game that's half broken and then play it again later in an improved state.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. And,
Yeah.
and I hate like being the guy that doesn't like anything. But I don't, Beppe, I know you have opinions on early access.
Oh, yeah.
It bothers me.
Well, I mean, I think also there are some games that are early access, but they don't tell you they are. Like, like Sea of Thieves and
Oh God.
No Man's Sky and all this stuff that they fixed 2 years later. It's actually pretty good now.
No Man's Sky was on
That
early
was like
access for like 8 years.
2015.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
I mean, but it didn't. It was just unfinished.
Oh yeah.
And now everyone loves it somehow.
That shit I hate.
And
I hate that
It's good now. Destiny's
Fuck-
good now.
fuck
No,
yeah,
fuck
yeah,
you.
that's another one.
Fuck you.
It was,
No.
dude, Destiny, it had a week to win me over and it didn't. Like, I don't care how good the DLCs are.
And you're a Bungie guy. Like it should have won
those are
you
your
over.
boys.
Initially, well, yeah, but then they slowly started losing like the core people involved. But for me, ultimately, to put a pin on it, I don't like any of the casino elements of this. How we're kind of cutting pieces out of a game, like little pieces, just put it all in there, integrate it. That's what I liked so much about the Mass Effect thing, is that they seeded all the old DLC items into like stores, marketplaces in the, in the Citadel or whatever. And it really depends for me in terms of story content. It really depends on what series it is. Because if I want to live in the world longer, then that's great. Or like the next time I play the game that I'm going to play Mass Effect again. I'm going to play Dark Souls again. Like if I want to see more of the world, then that's great. But I will never play the Assassin's Creed King Washington DLC
right.
ever.
Wait, I don't know if you actually made that up or if that does exist.
It exists.
Oh, jeez. It sounds
It's
like
an
AI made
alternate
it up.
future where George Washington accepted the crown, and it's there, and I'm never gonna play it, and it's really on me. Choice is yours.
Do you guys, Nick? You do this like as sort of a final panel discussion. Do you guys tend to play demos of games when they release? Nick, you do.
I can start on this. So I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to differentiate here. There is definitely a difference between early access, what we're talking about here, early access and games and pieces, and a demo. Because I think largely demos are very good for the industry.
Okay.
Whereas early access is dog shit. I hate early access.
Yeah,
I will
I hate
never
it.
play an early access game. I can't recall if I've ever played one, but I pretty much out of principle don't do it. I do like demos. Greg, we both played these games. There's one company that does a really good job with demos. It's the company, the part of Square Enix that makes Bravely Default's
Sure.
Octopath Traveler. They always put out one demo, which is hey guys, play this demo. It's not going to go into the main game, but we want your feedback. When you play it, we're going to send you a survey. Tell us your thoughts. And then they implement the fan feedback into another demo.
You got it.
And then they put that in the main game, which I think that's really good. It's very funny that none of these games end up being amazing,
Yeah.
even though they do all this effort. But I do appreciate that effort from a developer putting out a demo.
it's
Just
also
to get,
free.
Yeah, it's free too. Like,
Well, that's I do like the Half-Life Lost Coast or whatever. Like that was a demo, and it none of it appears in the game. It's just like a level they designed, to give you a taste of whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess relevant right now to this discussion is you talked a little bit about betas. I'm in the Halo Infinite beta right now.
Yeah.
And my reasoning for wanting to, I mean, it's this game has such an interesting past that I'm sure we'll learn a lot more about in the coming years. But I wanted to see if they would pull it off, if just because it's all multiplayer, like it's not like spoiling the campaign or anything for me. And it's also kind of because this is sort of, I mean, a beta is it serves a purpose. If it's a week before the game comes out, it doesn't serve a purpose. This comes out in a couple months. It could be of some use. The feedback could be of some use to their, network tests and stuff like that,
Yeah,
making sure it doesn't crash. And I want this game to succeed.
Right.
Don't know if it will, but if I can provide some kind of, assistance in that respect,
It's kind of the opposite of when Battlefield went on my shit list. Like when Battlefield 3 beta came out like a week before the game. Oh,
Yes.
so there's no way for you to actually implement these changes.
Mhm.
Right.
You're just getting people to want to
We'll
buy
do it in a couple months, maybe next
Yeah,
patch.
that's really
But
bad.
that's all over now. You know, like
Yeah.
everyone does it.
Mhm. And unless anybody has anything else, I think that's going to do for Games and Pieces. So thank you guys very much for being here. My brother Nick was here. I don't think I introed him in the beginning. Beppe,
You know Nick.
Yeah,
you all know Nick.
Yeah, and
I was gonna give you shit about that post-production.
yeah, don't worry about it. So Beppe, thank you once again for leading this one. And this has been Goddamn GameCube. Thank you guys very much. And in the comments, if you want to talk about DLC you liked or disliked or your opinion on betas and early access, we'd love to hear it, even if we don't agree with you. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.